Couple things we're going to clarify here, because I can't help but to notice sometimes there's good information, but sometimes the way it's presented, it keeps you in question. It really doesn't give you any type of solutions, and I'm going to explain why. And before I start this video, I want to make sure you know that all my videos, okay, all of them, I've said this since I started making YouTube, they're my journals. I go back and I watch my videos, and I can see what space I was in different points in time. If I look at the timeline, I see when I posted the video. What energy was I in? What was I into? What was I doing? Was I doing anything different than I'm doing now? Did I think differently? Did my beliefs about things change? Right? And am I actually holding on to a belief system, and why? Now, here's the main important thing, is that if I go back and look at these videos, sometimes I kind of like look and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I even said that at that moment in time. More or less like you forget certain things that you may have said. No different than when you wake up from a dream. If you don't write it down right away, you'll forget it later on. But then upon reading it later on, the memory, you're like, oh wow, I dreamt about that. It's kind of like it sparks that memory in you again. Now, when we look at, for example, things as far as memory and whatnot, your body is made of water, majority water. The whole thing is that when you break your body down to the smallest anatomical level, you basically consist of viruses and bacteria. All right? So when you're a child, you're all water. Okay? When you're in your mom's womb, you're made of all water. And when you come out and you're a small child, you're more water than you are as an adult. That's why kids are more flexible, more malleable. They're more open-minded. They're literally more like water. They flow more. You know what I'm saying? Adults are more stiff, more rigid. They get arthritic, and that's from inflammations or the acidity, the belief systems, the attitude, certain things that they hold on to. It's kind of like it makes them very rigid. Most unfortunate is they become closed-minded. That's where the whole saying, like, can you teach an old dog new tricks, is kind of relevant here, because adults are closed-minded and they're indoctrinated. So it's harder to get somebody, because you'll experience something called cognitive dissonance. All right? If you're not flexible and malleable, being childlike is how you enter the kingdom of heaven, but not childish. Right? Now notice how a child, okay, we say that they are not aware as an adult is, but they're closest to godhood more than an actual adult. Now, if I just said they are more water than an adult, understand this. We program children. As they get older, they become the adult based on the things that they have picked up along their way. Okay? So, water is unconscious. If you have a cup of water, it's unconscious. You program water. You can structure water, add life force to water. How much love do you give your children? How are you aware of the programs that they pick up when they're around you? Okay? Now, these are the things that I start to look at as an observer. I start to also see certain people talking about certain topics, such as, like, you know, the building of the pyramids and whatnot. Okay? We still start to argue about who built the pyramids, who didn't build the pyramids. You know, the whole topic between the white man, the black man, and all this fly shit. Understand this. You came into this existence the way I just explained. You came out of your mom's womb, which we're also starting to modify how this even works, because now we're starting to, you know, practice the area of C-sections to basically bring a child out into this existence. So you come out the womb, right? You were born, apparently, it looks like you were born out of your mom's womb. Your mom, apparently she's your world, right? She takes care of you up until a certain age when, you know, you basically go out on your own and experience the world, right? So look at it like this. You have water vapor. It's basically something that's everywhere, right? Water vapor. You have water. Water is more or less just a little bit more of a formed, because it can take the shape of anything. If you pour a cup, if you pour water in whatever cup, it becomes the shape of that cup. If you pour water wherever it's poured and whatever the shape of it is, it becomes that shape. Okay? So here's the most important thing though. Okay? Your mom is your world. Okay? So you came out of the world. Like it's like the waves coming in from the ocean, that's how you were birthed into this existence. The whole Admiralty, maritime law, and all that you can go into, I'm going to actually tie that into another video, but I'm going to make a point over here, okay? When you came into this existence, okay, the world was already created. So who created the world, right? Who created the world? Creation is created already, right? So the world is apparently created for you to come in and use this as a playground. Now all of a sudden you start to see certain structures like pyramids, megaliths, monoliths. Who built those things, right? But the main question is, who built the world that you just came into? Okay. The ancient structures, wow, right? Then you start to see now a little bit different things like buildings, houses. Now, the moment you're in now, we know of the technology and the tools that we use now to build certain things. But we start to say, well, okay, if I am in this state now, and supposedly what's in the past is considered primitive, ancient, and where I'm at now is considered I'm more technologically advanced, okay, then right now I'm starting to look at things as, well, okay, buildings were already built also when I came into this existence, but I'm also observing certain buildings getting constructed as I'm living my experience. But I don't see anything replicated like it was back in the day. And if it was, it'd be very hard with the tools that we have now. So now we don't ask the main question, right? Because there's people who act like, you know how people will tell you, what is a man? What is a man? Well, a man is, I'm a man. Okay, but what is the definition of a man? What is a man? What is a man? A form that has a penis and some nut sacks, maybe some facial hair, deeper voice, some bigger muscles, stronger physically, A woman, what is a woman? And you'll just start to describe the opposite. Again, smaller, more slender maybe, boobies, less hair, whatever. So now we say, okay, well, is that what you define as a woman? That's what you define as a woman. Then you ask, what is God, right? Okay, well, God, God is God. There's many people who say God is Jesus. God is the the sky man in the sky looking upon us. And that's the definition of God. Okay. Then there may be other people who may say God stands for infinite possibilities, authority, all right, self-empowerment, ruling and having domain over your environment. Well, okay, well, how do I have rulership and domain over this environment? When I came in, there was already people here. Then we start to say, okay, who discovered America? Who was the first people here? The black people would say, oh, they were here first. This is their land. The white people took everything. Well, I mean, I came here, and when I came here as me, the individual, where I became water, and then I solidified a little bit more, and now I'm materialized into a form, because I was once an idea, vapor, water. Now I'm water and matter, right? And the more matter I become, the more conscious I become, because water is technically unconscious, but water holds memory and light, right? Shout out to Zen Memory. Look this up. Water and light. Okay. So your body has memory of everything that's going on out here. So if I came here, the world was created. You could look at it from one or two ways. I decided to be birthed into this existence. Okay. I had pieces and aspects of myself building existence for me to be able to come in and play. Okay. But I can't know that I am God. No different than I'm playing a video game, and I remember I was playing a video game one time and my son is yapping in my ear. I'm like, all right, bro, just give me a second. Let me finish this part over here. And I'm trying to finish the game, or finish that part of the game that I was in, meaning I got immersed into the game. Okay? And I wanted to disconnect from what I my reality was, including my son, including the things around me. So I immerse myself into the game. I'm very into the game. I could even experience a two-player event with my son where we're both immersed into it, right? And in actuality, when it's a two-player game and I'm kind of getting the best of him or he gets the best of me, nothing matters, only the excitement and the emotions I feel toward the outcome of whatever is appearing to happen. But it's just a game. Nothing's really happening. We close it off and we go back to our regular scheduled program. So now look at it like this, okay? The technology, the tools we're using now, okay, is an extension and a version of you. So you see the world for how you are. You don't see the world for how it is. You're going to see it for how you are. Okay? So at the point I'm in now, nothing exists outside of me. Okay? I have to have a realization that I am appearing to think that things are looking more technologically advanced because of the things that we are building as far as like phones, computers, robotics and whatnot. That looks super technologically advanced. But you also have to have a realization that these things are nothing but programming you to think that that's what real true technology is. It's no different than somebody thinking that true abundance and wealth is having a lot of money in your bank account, when in actuality, money is not backed up by anything. Money is only powerful because of the amount of people who put that power into it. But these people all outside of you putting that power into that money is you. But the reason that is happening is because the system has to operate a certain way for you to have an experience here in this reality. Okay? So money, even though it's not backed up by anything, are you going to just stop using money? Are you just going to say money is shit? And then supposedly it's a frequency. You attract money. You bring money into your reality more through, let's say, a love building frequency. But in actuality, if you have that going on, then you can also say, okay, well then, if money's an idea and money's not backed up by anything and money doesn't exist, it's just paper, the value is what people put on it, okay? Then what value do you have and what value do you put on the people outside of you? And why are you attracting certain people into your space, giving you certain ideas and thought forms based on the mentality and things that you're going through right now? So, okay, let me give you another example. Jesus Christ is just an idea, right? So Jesus Christ has power, but the only reason it has power is because of the amount of people that believe in it. Now, if you are intelligent, like money, you can use money to your advantage, but you can also use that symbol of Jesus to your advantage as well and channel it into something where it's going to be productive because of the amount of power that symbol has. Okay? I'm going to give you another example. Okay? When you have, what the hell was I getting to? See, the phone was ringing before and it interrupted me, and these things kind of like happen, and then it just knocks me off my okay, here's the other example I was going to talk about. The chakras, okay? There's a lot of people who talk about non-duality and whatnot, how the chakras don't exist, none of these things matter, okay? See, your mind makes everything real here, okay? And the same way you use money to your advantage, you would use, the Jesus Christ symbol to your advantage. You would use certain people to your advantage, but not in a way where you're using them against their will. You're using them in a way where you're both kind of cooperating or collaborating with each other to build something. So you both are actually using each other. You don't just use somebody else, take advantage of them. That's kind of like using like you being a master and that's a slave. You get what I'm saying? Like you owning that person. Okay, so in actuality, you're both building and communing, and you're actually building something with each other. This could even happen through conversations and even talking. Again, even talking is an art form. When I'm looking at myself on camera talking, sometimes I look at that as an art form. Okay, how did I put the words together to relay a message to version and aspects of myself? Why do I make videos? For myself. But in actuality, whoever's watching my videos as well are versions and aspects of myself. And if I've got a large following, but it's full of trolls, it's full of just people who are I'm gonna tell you right now, I hate to say this, but there's people with big channels, and majority of people there are they're just fucking. I can't even, like, look. I can judge it as the God form that I am, but they're just fucking dumb as fuck. Dumb as fuck. What does that mean? Are the only people that are interacting with certain speakers the dumb ones, and the smart ones just stay quiet? Or is it just that that's what that person attracts? It's just the dumb people expressing themselves, and that's just a mirror of that person. Because it could be, well, I'm looking at that from myself as well. Except when I'm looking at it, I'm only attracting certain people that are actually, because I don't really care if I'm attracting smart or dumb people. I'm just attracting people based on things that I have questions on. They're answering my questions, and they may not be even directly answering my question. Now, the chakra systems, yeah, they don't exist. Your body is just an idea. It's like the planet. The planet doesn't have any shape. It's shapeless and formless. The shape is basically the shape you want to give it. It's a potential. You are infinite potential, infinite possibilities. Okay? You could be a good idea or a bad idea here. Or you could just be a neutral idea. Whatever. It's like you're an extra in the movie. But if it's going to be a bad idea, be a really bad idea. So you could strengthen the fact that through contrast, you'll actually help the good idea show how good it actually is. That's why I said, even like I made the examples with Pablo and El Chapo. I mean, they decided to play the vigilantes, the bad guys in the game. If you're going to be a bad guy, then you have to really be the motherfucking bad guy. And what is a bad guy? A bad guy doesn't give a shit about nobody, including family members. So if I'm going to enter that type of life of crime and I'm being chased by the opposition, which is the police, I have to forget about my family. I have to forget about my family. These motherfuckers took risks. And upon those risks, they stuck their neck out. It's more or less they became a sacrifice because of their family. Why are they so attached to their family, though? Those are immediate versions and reflections of themselves. So if they happen to die out of their reality, where it could have been one or two ways. You live that life of crime, they say that there is no friends. Okay? Friends can turn on each other. You may have to shoot your friend because of the business you're in. Okay? Which means you can't have attachment to friends. But this goes into family members as well. It could be where the enemy kills your family. Okay? Or you would have to actually do that yourself by disconnecting from those people. So we look at death in two different ways. But upon that, now you're able to stay in your position of power to keep playing that bad guy role you have. Because the fact that you showed that little bit of weakness in the fact that you have to be around your family or you can't disconnect from your family, that's you showing the holes in your game. So if you're going to be good, then you have to be very good. You can't show any signs of bad. The smallest signs of corruptions will actually surface. And this is where, if you're a guy who are presenting themselves to be good and you have ulterior motives and they get exposed on camera, how bad do you look afterwards? But when you're a bad guy and you get exposed on camera, I mean, what's expected? What did you expect of me? I already told you I was a motherfucking bad guy. So we look at these chakra systems. There's balances and polarities of these brains. They're all brains. They're all brains. But they have to work in unison and in harmony. But if they're going to be balanced, okay, in polarities, let's say if you're in your animalistic state, animals have a motherly instinct. But after a while, these animals have to get weaned. And they're no longer their kids. They will fight for food amongst themselves if it came down to it. So our higher faculties are the fact that these kids are always going to be our kids. But are they always really your kids? When you die, are they your kids still? When you have a death before you actually die, which we call an ego death, these ideas that you have of yourself, so you can't be told. A lot of people have knowledge of these things. Because then there's people who say, well, it doesn't matter. The chakra systems don't exist. Nothing exists. You see, you form nihilism when you do that. Go fucking kill somebody. And you'll see if you're experiencing being locked up or going through the fucking, the holistic state that you'll be into. You go see if how real that'll be. Are you a master of the fact that you can come in and out of body at will? You have to experience this reality, and it still has to be conducive. You have to actually utilize money for you to take care of your family. Okay? I mean, what's your value here? You're measured by credit scores. What's your credibility? your responsibility? Did you take accountability for the debts you owe? What is the value of money? Is money backed up by anything? No, but it actually is. Money's backed up by you. If you owe money, right? The debtor, you owe money. If I let somebody borrow money and that person says they'll pay me back, well, do you have any well, yeah, I got my friend here where if I can't pay you back, my friend will respond. That's called a cosigner. Okay, so now the money's backed up by somebody. Let's say if the person doesn't have good credit, but his friend has good credit, then I will let that person with no credit borrow money because it's backed up by somebody who has good credit, and I'm sure that person with good credit don't want to fuck up their credit score, right? So now it's backed up by that individual. It's just paper. But the importance here is the transaction we had, the debt. So also could be backed up by if I have money, okay, and I'm paying for something and I'm paying it out of fear. That money that I just made that transaction to pay a bill or some sort is backed up by fear. Or let's say if I have to like pay a bill, but then, you know, I can't stand the fact that I got these bills. I make money, but then all of a sudden I got to pay it out. And then it's like I'm always in a stressful mood because I live paycheck to paycheck. Then that money's backed up by anxiety, stress, and fear. If I, for example, and this is how you know everything's neutral. I'm going to make the best example here. And I've made it in previous videos before. If you're a crackhead, okay, and I have crack, you appear to look sick, ill. Oh, I'm gonna die. I need crack. I got crack. Give me crack. Give me money. You gave me money. I gave you crack. I just took care of those withdrawal symptoms that you were itching to get rid of. I was just a service to you. Neutrally, I gave you the drugs. You gave me the money. That was a neutral transaction. Nature is neutral the same way. It's just supply and demand. And this is what you're doing with technology, with the system. It's all supply and demand. So now, if I made that transaction, now vice versa, and I'm like, fuck, man, this guy, I know I'm going to be hurting him by giving him this crack. I gave him the crack. He gave me money. But now instead of it being neutral, that money that I made that transaction that I gave the guy with, now he gave me money. That money's backed up now by a feeling of guilt. And guilt comes from the word fallen, fallacy. All right? Fallen, fallacy, fault, guilty. Now, that money is backed up by a certain energy. And every transaction I make, I'm spreading different seeds in that way. That's why when you kill somebody and you acquire money, it's called blood money. Money laundering. Where do all these things come from? Why do you have to wash or clean money? But you do it physically through certain means of money laundering, which is also illegal, right? But, I mean, how do you do this with energy? With attention, your currency. The attention you put on yourself, the guilt. The anxiety, the stress, the fears. If you're running from somebody or something. You decide to play a role. You could become the conqueror or you could just be the mouse. And we're in a rat race, right? It's cat and mouse. Now you decided to be the mouse. I saw the moment that El Chapo became the mouse. He was in his peak of power. He made a transaction, but he was let known that if you make that transaction, you're going to be faced with problems. Either you are prepared to fight or run. I'm going to have to make another video because the video is going to cut off. But if you like this video, we'll talk soon.